May the words from my lips and the meditation of our hearts be always acceptable to you, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. The month of September is designated by Christians worldwide as the season of creation. It's a time of prayer and action to protect our common home and all that it means to us. We will end the month-long dedication with the feast of St. Francis, my favorite deacon, when we bless all critters, great and small. But there are other types of creation, things created by the ingenuity of the human spirit, creations that change the world we live in, sometimes for the better, and other times, well, maybe not so much. So I thought I might start out this morning with an unusual creation story. It's a true story, of course. And that is the creation of the BlackBerry cell phone. There it is. Over 20 years ago, the first BlackBerry was introduced by Research in Motion, a Canadian company, and many of you in this room this morning probably had one. It was a revelation with its full tactile keyboard, trackball, ability to send and receive emails, exchange text messages, and access the emerging internet. So I did it. I authorized our purchasing department to buy BlackBerries for all of our engineers, senior staff, and most anyone who could benefit from having one. After all, Linkabit was a premier satellite communications company. We traveled a lot, and BlackBerries seemed like a good fit for us techies. Think about it, for those of you who travel. No more using landlines to call back to the office when traveling with your AT&T credit card. Our Linkabit team was always in touch with each other in the world, 24/7. But these phones were the first to create a big problem, and it's one we still have today. You were connected night and day, and it was almost impossible to get away from the office. So a fair question to ask this morning is this: what does any of this have to do with today's gospel story from Mark? We all know Jesus worked hard. His work followed him everywhere he went. It must have been tiring, don't you think? So he cherished getting away for a little R&R, away from the crowds where he might not be recognized, be at peace, and pray. But on his little trip for a break to Tyre, a port city in today's Lebanon, Jesus' plans were interrupted almost at once. News of his presence had gotten out, and a woman came to him who needed healing for her daughter. If Jesus thought by walking over 100 miles to a distant city, he could insulate himself from people in distress, he was wrong. Because everywhere there are people in need, Jesus ministers to everyone, as we say, no exceptions. See, my friends, the woman who wanted to meet Jesus had everything going against her. She was a Greek born in Syria, Phoenicia, and even though not a follower of Jesus, she knew of him and begged him to heal her daughter. And so what happens, as we heard Mother Nina read a short while ago, Jesus looks into the eyes of that woman, sees a sister in distress, and responds. He shows her what God's love can mean to any of us, whether you're Christian or not. Like a man I would like to tell you about, who late one night helped a young mother that accidentally locked her sick toddler in the car. It was for just a minute, or it was supposed to be, while she ran into the pharmacy to pick up a prescription for her daughter's ear infection. You can guess what happened. She left the key in that old car and locked her daughter inside. She didn't have a cell phone, and the pharmacy had closed for the evening. She was isolated, alone, and afraid, as we all would be. By the time she realized what she had done, she could see her daughter through the windows and could hear her crying. Like any parent, she was frantic and fell to her knees, tearfully praying for help. But just then, a few moments later, a young man walked by and looked at her with curiosity. "Can you help me?" she begged him. "Can you help me? I've locked my key in the car and my daughter's in there." He nodded and looked around the empty parking lot until he found that old coat hanger. She had never seen anything like it. It was simply amazing how easily he opened the door with that coat hanger. A quick look at the door and window, a couple of twists with the coat hanger, and bam, just like that, the door was opened. Once the door opened and her daughter rescued, she threw her arms around the Good Samaritan. "Oh," she said, "the Lord sent you. You're such a good man. You must be an Episcopalian." I added that to the story. "No, ma'am. I'm not even a Christian. I'm not a good man. I just got out of prison yesterday after spending 10 years there for auto theft." She jumped up and hugged him again. "Bless the Lord," she cried. "God has sent me a professional." See, my friends, we are often taught to hide asking for help when we're in trouble. We're supposed to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, even if by accident we lock our child in the car, or suffering from illness or an emotional trauma. Scholar David Garland puts it this way: "Pride stiffens the knees so that they will not bow, and muzzles our voice so that we cannot call out in humble supplication." Never be afraid, my friends. Never hate to call us here at St. Bart's. That's why we're here. We are here for you, just as Jesus was for that woman, or a man with special skills who could open a locked car door at a time of need. Some of you may know that one of the tasks that I enjoy is being asked by Mother Nina to lead the Thursday noon healing service. I always feel closer to Jesus when in some small way I might be helping someone feel just a little bit better. Some weeks ago, someone I didn't know joined the service. After introductions, we learned his name was Tom. Tom stayed for the entire service and fully participated in our Lectio Divina study about hands that heal. At his request, I anointed him, and at the end of the service, I asked him what brought him here, what brought him to this service today. He looked at me with a tear or two on his cheek and said he had never been to an AA meeting like that before. But it helped. See, Tom came to the chapel instead of the multi-purpose room by mistake. Maybe it wasn't a mistake. My friends, God's love is made manifest and is available to all of us, whatever our background, regardless of what we may have done, the color of our skin, our sexuality, age, or faith traditions, or no faith at all. And during this celebratory month of creation, we need to remind ourselves that Jesus, through the Spirit, is still working helping us to heal, and creating a new creation in each of us. Just like the woman's daughter in today's gospel, a young mom whose toddler is locked in a car, or a stranger who was a stranger no more at a healing service. By the way, I never saw that stranger again, and no one seemed to know him at the AA meeting. I wonder who he was. I wonder. My friends, Jesus will never take a vacation, as long as there are people who need him. He's telling them, come to me, I can help you. I will help you. When we at St. Bart's reach out to others in pain or in trouble, we are doing what Jesus calls us to do. And that's a genuine Jesus move, as presiding Bishop Michael Curry would say. That's what Jesus was doing in Tyre, holding out a helping hand to a stranger. There's a great quote by Father Ron Rollheiser, shared by me with a fellow parishioner. It articulates, at least for me, the greatest moral challenge Jesus left for us. It's this: we all do pretty well loving thy neighbor when the people we are loving are warm and gracious and like us. But we must also be gracious to those we don't agree with. Show bitterness, jealousy, loyalty, hatred, and withdrawal. That's the litmus test of love. That's the Jesus movement. When we dare to love like Jesus, it can give us eternal hope. Because the hope in the biblical context does not mean to stand still and be quiet, but like God's creation story, we are together striving for new life amidst the struggles of life. So may God hold us and this creation in those mighty hands so we can do the work he has called us to do. And who could ask for a better calling than that? And you don't even need a cell phone to do it.